Hi, I'm Max Dellums, host of the 2025 Atkins Realis Clean Water Conference podcasts. The episodes focus on the topics covered at this year's conference. To introduce myself, I'm an assistant hydraulic modeller at Atkins Realis. I have a passion for communicating the health benefits of getting close to nature. I have a collaborative work approach and enjoy bringing people together to share their experiences. I do this through my own podcast called the Maximise Nature Podcast, which looks at the benefits of going outdoors. Our guest for this episode of the Clean Water Conference is Dagmara Dzugaj. Today she'll be giving an insight into model maintenance. Dagmara, could you introduce yourself to the audience and tell us one thing you love to do when you want to chill out after a day at work?
Hello everybody, nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I'm Dagmara. I'm an environmental engineer and I work as a senior modeler at Atkins Realis. I've been working in the water industry for 8 years now, mainly as a modeler, and I work with the hydraulic modelers in the clean water sector. And since they are a digital representation of the water network for me, I use them as a tool to develop solutions that will make the clean water network more resilient for future growth, climate change, and any of the planned or unplanned events. So as you can imagine, the quality of the solutions that I propose is as good as the quality of the models I use. That's why my other half of my work is to make sure the models that I use within the team and within the models provided to the clients is the best of their shape. After work, I like really going for a good hike, especially on the weekends. Lovely. I tend to go every weekend. I really like going to Yorkshire, to the Northwest, Cumbria and Lake District basically is my most liked places. I never thought there are so many nice, beautiful trails in the UK, so I love it. Every time it's something new. Other than that, I really like organizing and planning, so I'm really passionate about that.
Nice.
Even in my personal time, I use Excel spreadsheet, so I think that any problem that is either engineering or personal can be solved with good coffee and an Excel spreadsheet. My balance, I tend to go to a holiday every 2 months roughly, and this is possible because in Atkins Realis we have the flexible holidays. We can sell and buy additional days, so I take advantage of it.
Yeah, it's a great bonus. Where's the best place you've been on holiday?
We are planning to go literally at the end of the conference to the South Korea, so I think that's the most weighted place for myself lately. 2 years ago, we did a really fast trip to Canada and we went by bus to New York. So that was the craziest.
How does a targeted model approach differ from other approaches and what does it involve?
So if you think about the life cycle of a model, so on the one hand, on the start, you have the model built, and on the other hand, on the other side of the process, which is the one that we want to achieve at some point as a water sector, is the digital twin style life modeling. So basically the targeted modeling, which I said targeted, but the full name is STREAM. We call it STREAM. That stands for Systematic Targeted Revisions for Efficient and Adaptive Modeling.
Okay.
Hence, STREAM is much useful. So basically, within the cycle, we can place the STREAM process on the 65-70% of the way. So this is like a big step forward towards life modeling, but is getting away from the model build. So if you think about traditional model maintenance, it's mainly a manual process. So somebody needs to take the model, compare it against GIS, and then assess the changes and only see if it's a structural change. But if, for example, the change regards an asset operation that has been communicated by the network operations, this needs to be taken singularly and applied to the model manually. So that depends on the change of the model, but again, it's still one job at a time. So the strength of the stream is that we can identify all those changes, so structural, demand, and the asset operation at once in bulk. So then, based on that, you can only address the parts of the model that requires updating. Also, it's really useful to think that stream is not limited by scope. We can apply it to a single DMA, so district meter area, a cluster of it, or even to half of the region if you have enough computing power. But
big enough, yeah.
and also it does not only apply to clean water, it can apply to any model that works on shapefiles because it's a shapefile process.
Yeah.
So it's really versatile and it's really nailing it.
Lovely. I mean, that sounds really, really good. Why is model maintenance approach crucial in the current market for reasons other than what you just said?
So if you think about water companies, you know, and probably everybody will know that they are legally obligated to ensure an adequate water supply for future growth. But at the same time, the government has approved higher growth rates than previously anticipated. So this challenges the existing water source management plans. So a model to keep up with all those changes and the targeted solutions is crucial for decision making when you plan the infrastructure works. Furthermore, the water companies have committed to reduce leakage by 50% by 2050 compared to the pre-COVID benchmark. So an updated model needs to be used for those types of solutions. So if you have a model that does not reflect all the changes that have been put in place for the last 3-4 years, you need a lot of manual input to make the model work before you even start providing your solutions. So this is the challenge at the moment in the water sector, to provide the most efficient way of updating models as fast as we can, as often as we can. So this stream process is one of the methods. I hope there are many more that basically are targeting the final goal, which is the live modeling.
What was the benchmark?
That is a percentage. It's defined for each water company. So that depends on the water company. But I think the 50% is a lot, and since we have to also consider that in the UK the unaccounted water, because it's not metered, is still significant. So there is a lot of different projects put in place to reduce leakage. So the model is one of them, obviously, and the smart metering projects also are really now desired and put in place by many water companies. So the model is one of the tools that
exactly. It's really key to have different ideas, different approaches to hopefully solve, or at least try and get as close to that threshold as possible. So
probably one of the other topics on the conference will be how to update models based on their efficiency. So I'm really looking forward to see.
Where do you see model maintenance having a future in clean water maintenance?
So I partially already answered this question a bit, because if you think about the groups of changes that can happen in a model, it's mainly structural, demand, or asset operation, mainly. So if you target the structure and asset operation in a stepped approach, and once you do that, the only variance that left is the demand. So the demand is that really changes along the time, and it can be reflecting different scenarios like average day demand or peak day demand or last week demand, right? So the next step of this process is to make the flexibility happen about modeling the demands for different scenarios. So if, let's say, a big burst happened last week, ideally would be to take the model, reflect those demands from last week event, and understand how the model reacts. So that's the future. So to incorporate more live data, more telemetry that is available out there to the model, to make it almost live modeling, which is the ultimate goal that is
ultimate goal indeed.
The moment.
To recap on this fantastic episode, if your Clean Water Conference Pass unlocked you 3 takeaways from this conversation that the audience could learn from, what would they be and why?
The most important is that we need to remember that our surrounding is changing and is growing. So there are challenges and we want to come prepared. That's why the model maintenance is one big, important aspect of this. The second thing is that the stream process identifies structural changes and any other change in bulk, so it can be used for a quick update and frequent update. Basically, this is the first step, the big step forward, the live modeling.
I think that a key thing that stems both the clean water and the urban drainage water conferences is that idea for planning, and the idea that as people at Atkins Realis, we are on the forefront of all of the ideas. Well, thank you, Dagmara, for coming on this episode. I hope everybody listening has really enjoyed listening to it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.